I can only stay for the first hour.
That's fine. That's fine.
I have screen earning class in the morning that I teach, and
Very cool. Very cool.
I'm already too tired in the mornings as it is, so I have to make sure I get a decent amount of sleep.
I don't blame you. I think that we could probably make this an episode, like this episode, short tonight.
Down with that. I think I'm not. Yeah.
Are you not opposing that either?
No, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Okay.
All
right. That works. Because I'm fucking exhausted.
And we are now live on YouTube, cats and kitties.
Yeah, YouTube, I'm fucking exhausted.
And Mike seconds that by that large yawn.
Yep.
This shit needs to stop.
You East Coaster guys are always ahead of me. I'm in the Midwest, so I'm like, it's not even 9 o'clock yet. Body melt, huh?
Body melt is such a wonderful thing.
Body melt sells like something they sell at Arby's.
Yeah.
It does kind of.
It's you guys, an Australian horror movie. The effects team from Dead Alive did the effects for it. It's really, really whacked out. There's actually very little melting. There's only like one scene where there's melting actually. Surprisingly, but aside from that,
video and comments why you love Halloween.
Someone's echoing. There we go.
Sorry about that.
Is it still playing trailers?
No, we got the intro playing right now.
No.
Here we go. Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, hold on to your butts, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to go live. This is your captain speaking.
Oh, God. Oh.
And,
Get ready for an abbreviated episode.
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. And you can't hear me. God damn it. You know, it's every time I reset this nonsense. I know. Facebook Live loves to do this to me.
And YouTube gets the outtakes.
Yeah, right. Okay. What the actual fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, this is every episode.
Here's a little skeleton man to entertain everybody.
See if this works. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to THS Lives here tonight. I'm your host, Brian Enright. It's wonderful Friday evening. Note to everyone watching tonight, we will not be discussing Halloween. A lot of us have not seen the Halloween movie that has come out this weekend. It just came out today, for the love of God. So we're not talking about it tonight. But what we will talk about is we have a really cool movie that came out on VOD called E-Demon, which is directed by Jeremy Wechter, who is our guest tonight. But let's get into it. My name is Brian Enright. You can follow me on Facebook at Brian Enright, or you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Horror Jew. Up next, we have Jared Letourneau. Jared, good evening.
Good evening, Brian.
Oh, no. No.
My audio's not ready?
No, it's not ready for you, unfortunately. There we go. Let's try that now.
Hi, Brian.
There we go.
And all the boils and ghouls at home. Glad to be here tonight. You guys can follow me on Facebook at Jared Letourneau or on Twitter at @zombie_survivor. I also wanted to give a shout out to our Facebook. We have 1 day remaining for our drawing of 4 The Barn Blu-rays. If you go to the Horror Syndicate Facebook page, check out our pinned post, like, share it, and comment about what your favorite thing is about Halloween, and you may win a copy of The Barn on Blu-ray. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jared. Very much appreciated. Up next, we have Mike Lombardo, director of I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday. Mike, good evening.
Howdy, folks. You can find me at realsplatter.com. It's real with 2 E's. And you can find me at facebook.com/realsplatter. And on November 10th, you can find me at the Park City FYE in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, signing copies of I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday. You should come out and see it and buy a copy. And also, I'm really disappointed that we're not going to be talking about Halloween tonight, because I was really looking forward to talking about that movie, because I was really scared about going to sleep and Michael Myers getting me in my dreams and all that. And that also going on. That was supposed to be a joke, and it just fell really flat. I'm sorry. Back to you, Brian.
Well, thank you very much, Mike Lombardo, and of course we have our main guest of the evening, director of the 2018 horror movie E-Demon. You just watched the trailer right before the show played, and here he is, the director of E-Demon, Mr. Jeremy Wechter. Jeremy, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you for joining us. It's very nice of producer PJ Starks to send us your way and have you on the show to talk about E-Demon. Now, from what I watched from the trailer, E-Demon was a kind of like a modern take on today's era of found footage, which is now a lot due to like streaming services. Tell us a little bit about E-Demon.
Yeah, E-Demon is about a group of former college friends who get together for a fun night via video chat to have some drinks, have some laughs, and during one of their pranks, one of them in Salem, Massachusetts, accidentally unleashes a demon that had been trapped there for centuries. And once this demon is released, it realizes it can now use modern technology against us, and it proceeds to manipulate and divide the friends until they don't know what's real or who they can trust.
Ooh.
Oh, that's pretty cool. How did you come up with that idea?
Honestly, I was in production meeting for another short film, and I sort of dawned on me. I'm like, I don't want to make another short film. I've made enough short films. I want to make a feature film, and I figured if I can make a feature film, I can. If I can make a short film, it's sort of like 10 short films together makes a feature film, right? So I figured, what are the resources that I have access to in terms of locations and so forth? And I came up with the idea of a video chat movie. This was prior to Unfriended. And I had done one of these I had done a short version of this in 2007, like a 5-minute video chat movie. And from there, I reverse engineered the process, and I came up with this idea of this demon being released and who's able to use technology against us to kind of keep it really tied in with the formatting. And from there, the characters develop slowly. I think it becomes a really harrowing, intense, hopefully edge of your seat kind of story.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's funny that you mentioned you got tired of making short movies. Mr. Mike Lombardo, one of our longtime THS Lives director of Dream of a White Doomsday. His movie started out as a short and became a feature. So I totally understand just wanting to finally make a feature length film. And I'm glad that you did it with the resources. Now, you are a filmmaker in New York City. We chatted a little bit earlier about this. Especially coming up. I think like shooting in New York, it's like $300 a day for permits just to like shoot out in the public park. I'm not sure what the cost. I know in Philadelphia it's $175 a day to have a permit to shoot on the park. Definitely be into your advantage shooting on such formats as webcams. How was that finally putting all of that together, shooting on the webcam and just kind of splicing everything up, but making sure that you're meeting expectations, meeting the viewers' expectations of something that they're not used to?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, my main concern when I conceived of the idea of having a video chat movie was to make sure that it was pretty visual, because the concept of a video chat sounds like what we're doing right now. It would sound like it would be a lot of talking heads. And I, as a visual filmmaker, I very much wanted to avoid that. So I came up with the idea of having a video headset for each of the characters, so that way they wouldn't be chained to their desk. In fact, they could leave the room, they could leave their house, they could leave their apartment, and this would allow for scenes to be on the street and in a car and on a bike and on a bridge, and we have all those scenes.
Oh, nice.
In fact, Brooklyn
That's
Bridge,
cool.
in fact. So we have some decent, a really decent location. Obviously, that's one of the benefits of being here in New York. And as far as permits go, at least when we were shooting, if it's a handheld shoot, meaning you're not laying wires down and anything else, then you don't need a permit.
Okay.
But and my understanding is that even includes a tripod. So
Really?
Yeah, but the second you start laying anything wires down for lights or anything like, or dolly tracks, then that's no longer handheld, because you're physically putting things on the ground. And my understanding is it's all about, can you like get out of the way if something happens, if like people, if police or fire people need to like get through, can you just immediately walk away, versus having just tons of stuff laid out.
That's a very creative way of filming. You're skirting the man a little bit that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. But believe me, it was all about like, what can we do for relatively little money. I mean, it's still a lot of money for like a regular person, but for a movie, it's sort of like the bagel budget on a Tom Cruise movie. Not even the entire food budget, just the bagels.
No, that's how there was. It's like people like, you made it for how much? And it's like, yeah, it's like pennies compared to like a normal production. Like, I love when they say that something is like, oh, that was a shoestring indie budget. It was only $1 million. I'm like, I'd make 20 features for that much money.
Hey, that's a small loan according to Donald Trump.
Yeah. A low budget movie is often like a $4 million, $5 million movie is considered low budget. So I will say this was less than that. I'm not going to specify how much, but less than $5 million.
There's no shame.
Definitely.
There's definitely no shame ever. Yeah. You're making a movie. It's one of those things where I don't consider it a found footage movie, because it's sort of like the next generation. And a lot of the easier dynamics that a found footage movie would have, this movie does not have, because this movie is set in real time. So that creates a lot of extra challenges. And in the context of this particular story, at least, it makes sense that this particular video from this particular night where these particular people were murdered is being shared. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not aware of any other found footage movie or video chat movie for that matter, where why the movie is being shared to the viewer is part of the story itself. So I think that also is another unique element. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How long did the filming production take?
The actual main production was probably, let's say, approximately 12 days. But there was a lot of other days of production. So when you add it all up, it probably was around like 18 days. Because there were some things that we couldn't get on during the main production. So we just had to find other times for those.
Right. That's still not very long at all, though. That's like
18 days is very short for a feature film.
Yeah.
And to make matters more challenging, because of the nature of this movie, every single location had what was intended to be a desktop webcam and a headset webcam. We had to go to every location, film the movie from that character's perspective, from the very beginning of the movie all the way to the very end of the movie. Then we had to go to the next location and then start all over again and shoot the entire movie from that person's perspective, from that friend's perspective, all the way from the beginning to end. And there's essentially 4 main locations. There's New York City, Salem, Massachusetts, Seattle, and Ohio. And every single time we went to another one of these locations, we had to start all over again.
Travel to those locations, or did you cheat it?
In reality, we shot them all in New York State or New York City. For the Seattle location, since that character AJ is supposed to be pretty wealthy, we had to go to this house up in New York State that we're able to get, and we're really lucky to get because it's really a beautiful house. And we were able to shoot there, and so that, of course, creates more challenges because then we had to get away for the crew and cast to get there. We had to rent a car and hire a driver and all this other challenges of filmmaking.
So it's almost like you're filming 4 separate films all together and then splicing them together.
We got an echo.
Yeah, from an editing standpoint, it was an extra big challenge. In fact, in some ways, it was more challenging than a traditional movie. And luckily, I eventually found what I call my post-production wizard, Matt Brunson Klein, who was able to take all these pieces of the puzzle and weave them together. And at any given point, there's 4 or 5 images on the screen. So when you edit or make a change in one of them, you have to then like change all the others. So it's, you know, you might have heard of like 3-dimensional chess. So this is like 3-dimensional editing, I guess. I don't know. That metaphor broke down, but you get the point.
So what made you want to direct a horror movie? Is horror a genre that you've always been in love with, or is this something that it was kind of more of like an experiment?
When I was a kid, I was sort of in the visual arts, like painting and drawing, and there was a point when I thought I was going to be a visual effects artist, like with latex and stuff. So there was a couple years when I was doing like latex limbs, and I was like zombie for Halloween with like severed arms and so forth. So I've always enjoyed horror. But as a filmmaker, I'm open to all genres. My screenplays, my other feature-length screenplays tend to be on the darker sort of genres. Like I have a corporate heist movie, a sci-fi thriller, a con artist movie. So they tend to be on the darker side, but not necessarily like as dark as horror. And when this idea hit, I just knew it was the right way to go. And really glad I did, because as I've shared this film with folks and gone into various horror conventions and interacted with various horror people, like I really think horror folks are sort of nicer and more well-adjusted than the average person. And I have a theory about why. My theory is because when folks are actively facing their fears and sort of morphing it into entertainment, there's actually something healthy about that, versus someone who kind of runs from their fears and hides it and buries it, and then it come out in some like unhealthy way. So my theory is that it's actually like healthy and cathartic for people to be facing their fears and then join a community that sort of celebrates it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my things with the horror genre, why I'm so in love with it, is because horror mocks death. It embraces death. It holds death towards nature. You know, like Hamlet. It just like kind of like, you know, makes fun of it. But it does it in a sincere way, and it can be both cheesy sense of humor, or it can be really gory, or it could be just like this show I watched on Netflix, the Haunting of Hill House. I don't know if you've seen that show yet or whatnot.
Not yet. It's on the list.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool concept. So I'm glad that, you know, horror is much more appreciated, but it should not just be appreciated during the month of October. It should always be appreciated all year round. So you know, it's great to have, a director, filmmaker such as yourself, start off with a bang, especially in the horror genre, when you have movies that or screenplays that you've been writing for, like such as sci-fi and bank heist. I'm sure that, I can imagine that you're going to star Ben Stiller in one of your bank heist movies. I feel like he's, I feel like
if
he's
Ben
in every
Stiller
bank.
wanted to be in any of my movies, I would be like, yes. He's a movie star, a great writer, a great actor, a great producer. So when it comes to those other screenplays, the truth is, I wrote them in my mind at the time. I was like, oh, I'll turn this into a feature. And then every time I finish, I realize, oh wait, this is going to be really expensive to make. So I'll put that aside, and I'll write something that it's more doable. And then I wrote the next one, and I'm like, wait a second, this one is definitely less money than the other one, but it's still millions of dollars to make this movie. So I had to just keep writing screenplays till I finally was able to write one that I could actually make. And it's challenging. It's movie making is an expensive medium.
Yeah.
And even for a super low budget movie like this, it's still like expensive, compared to if I was to buy a canvas and paint, or if I was going to even buy an instrument, like a musical instrument. Like a musical instrument's expensive, but once you have it, you have it.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, were there any other did you bring any investors along, or like do you have any producers that were helping you bring this project to life, or was this all self-rate or self-funding?
I was able to find some investors to help the project along the way,
Cool.
Which is important. And in addition to that, I was able to find some really talented producers to come on board to help me at the various stages. For instance, like during production, I had this great guy named Michael Gonzalez who was able to secure some of the locations. It's a pretty big cast for a relatively small movie. So there's characters, there's cop characters and as extras and paramedics as extras that kind of come in. So this guy, Michael Gonzalez, was able to secure folks. A lot of them were really ex-cops or ex-paramedics or current cops and current paramedics. He made sure that like the uniforms were correct because we had multiple locations. So if we were in Seattle, or if we were in Ohio or New York, he made sure that all those dynamics were accurate. Yeah, so it was there was a lot of detail in this movie. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's cool to have somebody that's like a professional like that actually can help you pay attention to the continuity like that.
Yes, absolutely. And for any folks making a feature movie out there, I definitely recommend having someone dedicated on set for continuity. On a regular movie set, that's called the script supervisor. But if there's at least just someone, even if they're a PA, who can kind of keep track of that stuff, it's super helpful and will make your post-production life way, way easier. No doubt about it.
Yeah, we had on White Doomsday, we had a 9-year-old who decided to play script supervisor during the commentary track that he was recording. So I learned all about the continuity errors that I was unaware of previously. And everyone else in the world will be too.
If the 9-year-old's willing to do it, hey, why not? And now we actually had a pretty wide range of ages on this set in terms of actors. We had everyone from 8-year-olds to 80-year-olds in this cast, so it was a pretty big range. The 8-year-olds were actually 8-year-olds, and the 80-year-old was playing a character that's supposed to be 101, and the old Gamma character who everyone thought was crazy, but warned them about the trunk in the attic, and he had this makeup artist actually spend like an hour on her, sort of taking her skin and applying this makeup effect to make her like super wrinkly to portray 101-year-old, and she was very game and up for it. So, and I appreciate all the actors, actually, because we made them go through some really challenging things. One of the actors had to go underwater with the camera on their head for us.
Okay.
One of the actors had to have these things placed over his eyes because his character's eyes were gouged out. And so in reality, for let's say whatever it was, 2 hours or something, he literally had these things over his eyes while we were shooting. And so he had to be very, very trusting, to say the least.
Was he a good sport about it?
He was. In fact, all the actors and all the crew were really good sports. Everyone commented on how unlike some sets, like everyone just got along and people were having fun. And while my primary concern is making a good movie, my secondary concern is like everyone has a good time, because people are being paid very little compared to their regular rates. And since they like the script so much, they agreed to come on. And so I wanted to make sure they were taken care of. And another tip for anyone who's thinking of making a short or a feature, if you're, paying people on the low end, at the very minimum, you have to provide good food. It's like you have to have good food. There's just no. It would be cruel not to.
Note to self: no PB&J.
Yeah.
Well, you'll end up with your head on a stick by the end of the day.
I was able to give when I did a short movie called Cuddles. It's on YouTube. It's dead, but it's on YouTube, and I made sure that my crew was fed and had like beverages. Like I think the one night we shot at like a house in the middle of the woods, and there was fresh coffee and donuts. At least it was like a 5-hour shoot. And then at my house where we shot the party scene, I ordered Domino's pizza for everyone. But
it's cruel unusual punishment, Brian. Why don't you feed them Domino's?
Because it was all I had in the budget. I shot Cuddles for $500. What do you want from me?
True renegade film.
5 deal.
It's still nourishment.
Yeah.
When you're on a production set, especially on a low budget production, it's sort of like an apocalyptic society where when someone just brings out a little bit of food, everyone gets very excited. So, in the world of The Walking Dead, when Rick comes home and they found like a deer or something, everyone's thrilled. So people will salivate over a Domino's pizza if it's just been a couple hours on a set.
Yeah, unless they're vegan, which the dietary restrictions are always
fair enough. Actually, yeah, you definitely have to truly find out what your cast and crew's dietary restrictions. So actually, it was a relatively smooth shoot, but the one problem we did run into is on one of the locations had a cat, and one of the actresses was allergic, and it was definitely our fault for not asking.
No.
We didn't ask the cast or crew about allergies, and we should have. So we were able to make it work, and she was a trooper. But that is definitely a good tip. Ask up front all your cast, all your crew about dietary restrictions and allergies, because it could truly make a gigantic difference if depending on the level of allergicness.
I was doing a shoot for a book trailer for a thing called Zero Lives Remaining, and it's like a haunted arcade type of deal. And one of the actors that we had planned to do full prosthetics on turned out they were allergic to latex. So decided to tell me this on set, and I'm like, fuck.
That's exactly what we were going to use.
So I ended up, I just did quarters over his eyes, like for the ferryman. We did this cool, like just blood effects. It ended up being better than what I was planning originally. But I think that's something really important when you're on set, is to kind of be able to adapt to changing situations on the fly and be MacGyver.
Yeah, the happy accidents. If something goes wrong, and maybe if you can rearrange the Rubik's Cube of filmmaking so it actually turns out better, no doubt about it. I'm actually in auditioning right now for a short horror that will be a sort of proof of concept for a feature movie. And so we're asking folks, like, just during the second callbacks, if they're allergic to anything. And one of the the kids said he was allergic to red dye and gelatin, which means he had done a horror movie before, and they used fake blood on him, and he was allergic. So so it's good that he knows that, so he can tell folks up front. Luckily, there are some alternatives out there for fake blood, and if anyone out there who's listening has any nice recipes for fake blood, I'll be happy to hear your suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who has any recommendation for fake blood, comment on this video, so that way we can get it back to Jeremy, and we can message him and let him know that you reached out to him. Those on Facebook land, feel free to comment. We'll read your comments out live during this episode. But yeah, continue, Jeremy. Actually, quick question for you, Jeremy. What of course, directing a horror movie, what are some of your inspirations when making a horror movie? What movies or do you keep on like in the back of your mind when you're directing a horror film?
From a horror perspective, the movie that had the most impact on me from when I was a little kid is Nightmare on Elm Street. And the reason is when I saw it, because I was a little kid, it was very freaky, and I was with a bunch of other kids. This was like a sleepover, and everyone was freaking out. And just the core concept is so strong. The idea that there's this vengeful guy who can enter your dreams and have
Michael Myers.
And just control your dreams, and there's no way to escape this. Even if you try not to go to sleep, you're eventually going to fall asleep. Yeah. And to me, because I was a kid with a really active imagination, to me there was nothing freakier than that.
To piggyback Brian's question, like, are there any filmmakers out there that you like sought inspiration from or tried to emulate while filming this movie?
I mean, not explicitly filming this, but one of the filmmakers that I admire the most is Christopher Nolan. Oh, yeah. So he obviously is responsible for the Dark Knight series, but he also did Memento and Insomnia and Interstellar and
Inception.
Oh, Inception, exactly. And so I think he's a pretty brilliant guy. So I enjoy his work. That's just in general. I don't think there was any parallels between like what he did and E-Demon. But I would love him to. I would love to have him. I would love to sit down and have lunch with him. That would be amazing.
Pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah. There you go.
We got a comment on Facebook land from Virginia Buchanan, one of our big fans here at the Horror Syndicate. Virginia Buchanan says, mix the fake blood from Spirit of Halloween with dish soap. It makes it look runny. And I can't read the rest of the comment without it turning into like, oh, here we go. Looks pretty legit. So it's Spirit of Halloween and soap.
Well, if you add dish soap or laundry soap, a couple drops to your corn syrup blood, what that'll do is it'll break the surface tension and let it soak into fabric so it doesn't bead up like corn syrup or on your clothes. So you're gonna wash out.
Thicken.
Yeah, but you got to be careful you don't get it in anyone's eyes or mouth because that's very unpleasant. The blood from the Halloween story has got a lot of chemicals in it. You don't want to put that near anyone's mouth or eyes. Again, it stains skin really bad. But a cool pro tip for that is keep a can of Barbasol shaving cream, like cheap shit, on hand. If you splatter somebody with blood and you need to quick do a costume change or something, put shaving cream all over the area where the blood is and rub it in and let it sit. It'll take the stain out of their skin. But you got to do it quick.
Wow. And Amanda McCarthy, fan of Horror Syndicate and fan of VHS Midnight, says maple syrup, dish soap, 10 drops of red food coloring to 1 drop green. I think, was it food coloring that was what he was allergic to?
I think he said red dye.
Red dye, okay.
And gelatin.
And gelatin, okay.
Gelatin, right. Red dye and gelatin, yeah. So, We will figure it out.
Strawberry syrup can give you a nice base. I use chocolate syrup as a base for my blood. Mix it with corn syrup, chocolate syrup, and then add the dyes because the chocolate syrup is thinner than corn syrup and it darkens it. It gives it more of an opaque look, so you don't get that really shitty translucent pink that blood gives a lot. And then coffee, instant coffee. Sprinkle instant coffee over the wounds and stuff, and then let it melt on. It'll look like clotted, scabby blood. Always works good.
You know, back when Alfred Hitchcock made the original Psycho movie, they used just chocolate syrup and with nothing else. And because it's a black and white movie, that's all they needed to do because they didn't have to worry about the color in it, and it totally works.
Yeah, George Romero did the same thing with the Night of the Living Dead also.
Do you think at any point Janet Leigh was like, this death is delicious? Like, she was just like...
I've had every person that I ever killed on set or did effects on, they all end up eating the blood. Like, this is really good. I'm like, can you not eat the blood? This is expensive.
we need to reuse this. Spit it out.
And another thing that I always like to point out when it comes to Janet Leigh and Hitchcock is, you remember that shot where you see once the character's killed and you see her eye and they're doing the slow spiral out? That's 100% her just staying still, keeping her eye 100% open while the camera is spinning in front of her face. So imagine how hard it is to be like lying on your face, like upside down almost, while trying to keep your eye open. It's one of those things that's way harder to do than it sounds. So kudos to her. And now her daughter's in 40 years after her first one is in another
Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Oh no. Is that the ongoing joke here that you guys kind of keep?
It's the joke that Mike Lombardo started. And
we kind of mix up the movies on purpose.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, the Halloween remake was directed by Dario Argento, right?
Yeah, Dario Argentino, get it right.
Yeah.
And Luchino Felucci. But Jeremy, it was really cool having you join us on our show tonight. Please let the world know where we can find you, what you have coming up, where can we find, of course, where can we find E-Demon, and just shamelessly promote yourself, my friend.
Sure. You can always go to edemonresistancenetwork.com to find out where E-Demon is available. It's on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Vudu, TiVo, DirecTV, Comcast, Cox, as well as Dish Network. And if you wanted the DVD or Blu-ray version, you can get that via Amazon. We're also running what we're calling the E-Demon giveaway. So if you leave a rating and review on various sites like IMDb, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, and send it to edemongiveaway@gmail.com, you'll be entered to win one of the prop foam weapons that are used in the movie. So there's like a prop foam wrench, a prop foam machete, a prop foam bat, and so on and so forth. There's pictures of the props on the website, edemonresistancenetwork.com. So check out the movie, rate and review, send us a screenshot, and you could too have your own foam prop weapon that was in the movie. And they're really cool. They look 100% real, and then you go to touch them and they're soft because they're literally foam. So it's pretty cool.
And what was the website again, just in case anybody missed the first part?
Sure. edemonresistancenetwork.com.
Cool.
You can check out the trailers on there. In addition to the trailers, we continue the story past the end of the movie through transmedia storytelling. So on YouTube, for instance, there's something called the E-Demon Chronicles, and one of the characters from the movie basically is reaching out to the populace at large, is trying to desperately get them to see the recording from the night of what is the media dubbed the Quad Murders, which is the night that these four friends got together. And we get to hear and see what happens after the after the event. So check out edemonresistancenetwork.com to go further into the lore and mythology of E-Demon.
And we can also follow this. You do have a Facebook page and Twitter account for E-Demon as well?
That's a good point. Yes, there's also a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So I believe the handle at all those places are at eDemonResist. So please reach out to us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Those on Facebook land, we are cutting it an hour short tonight. So please enjoy your Friday night. My name is Brian Enright. You can follow me on Facebook at Brian Enright, or you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Horror Jew. Up next, we have Jared Letourneau. Jared, where can we find you?
You guys can follow me on Facebook at Jared Letourneau or at Twitter at zombie_survivor. I also wanted to replug the barn giveaway the Horror Syndicate is doing currently. Tomorrow is the end of it, so you have less than 24 hours to sign up on our Facebook page at the Horror Syndicate. Check out the pinned post. We are giving away 4 Blu-ray copies of Justin M. Seaman's The Barn. You need to like the post, share the post, and comment on the post what is your favorite thing about Halloween, and that's all you need to do. And cross your fingers, you might get a Blu-ray.
All right, thank you very much, Jared. And of course, the director of Dream of a White Doomsday, Mr. Mike Lombardo. Mike, where can we find you?
You can find me at www.realsplatter.com. That's a real with 2 E's. Facebook.com/realsplatter. And also in the imported cheese aisle at the grocery store looking for horror films.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I know that. Thank you very much for joining us on Facebook Land. Be safe and have a great night, okay? And we're stopped streaming. I think we're still live on YouTube.
Still live on YouTube, though.
Still live on YouTube. Yeah, that was a quick episode, and thank you, Jeremy, for letting us do a short episode with, of course, with your early departure, because I'm about to pass out. I know that you guys are probably tired too.
Yeah, all good. Cool. So will you be able to send me a link to this so I can share it directly on the social media?
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. I will send you the link right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be a link on Facebook, and you can also share it from our YouTube broadcast also.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
Be aware right now we are still live on YouTube, waiting for Ray to shut us off on that.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, I am sending it to you right now. Super hot, super fast, and you can share this anywhere. And yeah, I think something happened with the lag of the video today. Don't mind it. Some parts break up. It's live. It's a free software that I'm using, so of course things like this happen. But I'm glad that we're able to get the word out, and I can't wait to see E-Demon. I'm definitely going to check it.